That's a great point on the part of K1. And we'll get to Rasul Douglas. Speaking of your exes, we'll get to him momentarily. But I want to go back to the fact that we no longer have an undefeated team in the NFL. The Cardinals were the last one. And you mentioned it off the top, just the ebbs and flows of just the end of this game. I mean, it looked like the Packers were going to put it away and go up by 10. Then it looked like the Cardinals were going to go 99 3/4 of a yard to remain undefeated, only for Rasul Douglas to step in and save the day against his former team. I came away with this. Let's look at it from both perspectives from a macro point of view. I did not come away with this with any questions about the Cardinals whatsoever. I still look at them the same way I did as the contender, but I think, and I don't want to overreact to one loss or have any confirmation bias, but in previous conversations that you and I have had about the best teams in the NFC, as well as their defense was playing and as explosive as their offense had been, I had deferred more to the Cowboys or my preseason Super Bowl pick, the Bucks, more often than I'd given the Cardinals probably their due as an undefeated team. They beat who was in front of them. So I still have the utmost respect for the Cardinals. Nothing changed on that front. But the Packers, though, and it's, not only do I like, people ask me all the time, like, who do you root for? I say, I root for the stories. I just root for what I identify as just great stories or the best stories. I still like the Bucks to repeat. Nothing's changed. But I told you earlier, I like your pick because I like the romanticism of it all, of going from being done to 7-1. But when I look at the Packers, though, Michael, I think I definitely underestimated them, even at 6-1 prior to last night, because what we saw last night was a team, and there's a T word that people throw around in football all the time, and it's like it's one of the ultimate compliments you can give to a team. It's one of the ultimate compliments you can give to a team. They travel. They got that stuff that travels. Like, I didn't know they could run the ball like that. Mm-hmm. And certainly, I don't believe they did against the football team the week before. But, like, if they're running the ball like that and they're playing physical like that with Jones and Dillon, and if their defense is making plays like that, especially once they get healthy or if they add more pieces. I mean, they already picked up Jalen Smith and Whitney Merciless in the last couple of weeks. Let's say they add something at the deadline, or another free agent of some kind, or they continue to gel under Joe Barry. I mean, they are as complete as any contender in the conference.
Man, my favorite, I agree with you. My favorite ugly run of the game was early. I think it was in the first quarter. Dillon, on 4th down, gets hit. Well, it was like 4th and 1. He gets hit short, well short of the chains, and then the defender. I love the replay was great. I love replays. I told you that. I love B-roll. I don't know if I told you that's the nerdy thing I really get into. I just watch B-roll sometimes and watch it over and over. I'm like, oh man, that's great. But on the replay, the defender, number 56, I can't remember who it is. 56 hits him and then goes into a crouch position and then falls back. Dillon lowers his shoulder and picks up another half yard and picks up the first down. It's just those little things in the game. They needed it. Like early in the game, they were just holding on. I felt like they were searching to find the way that they were going to win this game. It seemed like in the beginning, the first couple of possessions where it was 3 and out for Aaron Rodgers, I think they got their first down on their 4th possession. Rodgers was trying to throw his way to first downs, and he was just trying to figure it out. And then they got into this, okay, we can run the ball. We can run the ball effectively between Jones and Dillon. And that just carried them to that 10-7 halftime lead, which I felt like was significant. Because once they were in the game at halftime, they said, okay, we got it. We can do this. And then that's when they started that pattern of going up 10, cut to 3, go up 10, cut to 3, and that's how the game ended.
Controlling the game. But
Mike, the reason
we knew they had 2 talented running backs. We knew they had that, but did we know they could be that physical and win with that kind of versatility? That was a different. People say when they say statement wins, it's usually because you beat a good team. This was a statement win in that it included descriptors that I don't know that we would have applied to the Packers before. You were saying the reason you like the Packers is what?
And No, the reason I like the Packers because I feel like they're so far away from peaking. Like the Cardinals, and all respect to the Cardinals, but when you're undefeated, people just look at you and say, "Oh my God," and they give you credit for things that you don't necessarily deserve credit for, but it's just the gaudiness of that zero next to a bunch of wins, and so hey, they think you got it, you're rolling. I think that the Packers have been rolling, and they've got some wins that are gritty. You know, that win over the Bengals in overtime. You know, they could have lost that game.
I'm about to say.
The win last night. They could have lost it. You could say, if you're a Cardinals fan, you say, man, we should have won that game last night. What is that?
Yeah.
But, you know, you get those kind of wins when you go through something, it's easy for coaches to say, I'm telling you, play all 60, even if it gets down to the 5 or the 4, and it looks like
Or think about the 49ers game.
Keep playing football.
Think about the 49ers game, the way that ended.
Niners.
Yeah, it's another one.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I'll say this. I'll say, okay, here's the overall, the talent of the Cardinals I have no problem with. But I do have a problem with the Cardinals in a couple of ways. They really mismanaged the last minute of the game. What are they doing? They had a couple of running plays and said, are they trying to set up a field goal? Oh, no, they're not trying to set up a field goal. What y'all doing? You could have had at least, there were like 2 or 3 more plays in there.
There was, but I just referenced the 49ers game. I thought the same thing in the moment. Then I was like, is this Kingsbury trying to make sure that they have the ball last in regulation? And if nothing else, they just go in overtime. So even though you're leaving yourself a limited amount of time late in the game, you're also making sure 12, because even in the sound we played earlier, 12 was talking about, I was thinking about with 10 seconds left, what kind of play were we going to run, right? It's like in this situation, I'm looking at it like maybe they just were like, hey, we're either going to score, and he's got no time to do anything with. We got to defend maybe one Hail Mary, which, by the way, if anybody knows about an Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary, it's the Arizona Cardinals in Glendale, Arizona, right? So they were probably like, you know what? We're not taking any chances with this guy on the other sideline. We're going to run this down as far as we can and let it come down to a play or two, or have Prater just tied and send it in overtime, and we'll see what happens. We're not trying to do the same thing that the 49ers did, which is not run off enough time. So I understood that.
I got a quick question for you.
Oh, yeah, shoot.
Just quick question on this. How do you feel? Where do you stand on Kingsbury and other coaches just calling out a guy? Because that's what happened after the game. Clearly, Kingsbury saying, "Hey, it's an easy play if we run the right route." And so, if you're saying you run the right route, you ain't talking about the quarterback. You calling out A.J. Green without saying his name. Are you good with that, or do you feel like, as a leader, you got to be like, handle that behind closed doors? Don't do that for the public.
I mean, listen, you know me, and you know how I operate. I mean, I F your feelings. Like I don't care about, I mean, we all saw the play. And we all big boys. We all get paid. We all want the same thing. And it's like, as long as you ain't saying nothing that's incorrect. A.J. Green been around a long time. Clearly, A.J. Green, he looked like he thought it was a run play. I don't know where he was running. One of the best receivers in recent memory. But I was like, are you blocking? Like, did you think it was a screen?
He's blocking.
I don't know what he thought it was. But I mean, it's obvious that A.J. Green was not on the same page.
Look at him
with the quarterback. And a quarterback, by the way, who was quite compromised at the end of the game. He was a little out of sorts. But let's talk about 29. Let's talk about Rasul Douglas for a second.
I love him.
About relationships.
I love this cat.
And just to be able to go from the Cardinals practice squad to executing the final play or that key play, it took a knee, but executing that play as if you had been practicing it more than A.J. Green. It's so poetic. Michael, that's this week's version of Won't He Do It? That's just Won't He Do It in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Because it's just one of those things that, like, no matter what career you're in, just keep grinding, man. Your time is coming. Your moment in the sun is coming. This dude's on the practice squad. The
Go ahead, Reverend.
He's starting, and he gets to wave goodbye to his old home crowd, man, that was, I mean, Rodgers is the story. But as we often talk about being in the press box and divvying up assignments and who would you write about, like, you know, if there's more than one columnist, somebody gonna write about Rodgers and the big picture that they're 7-1. Somebody's gonna do the game story about what happened at the end. But me and you as the columnist, or me as a sidebar guy, whatever, we'd have been jockeying for who's gonna get Rasul Douglas back in our Boston Globe days.
No question. And it's even better. It's even better. It really is a won't he do it story. You know why it's so good? Because most of the time you think practice squad, and I thought this last night because I really wasn't familiar with this story. Oh, well, he's a practice squad guy who was on Arizona. I thought, okay, you know, young kid, you know, rookie free agent.
Practice squad means something different now.
He was drafted.
Oh, he's been around.
Yeah, he was drafted like 4 years ago in the third round, and he had bounced around teams. So a lot of guys with his status would say, "Wait a minute, you gonna put me on a practice squad? Really?"
Oh no, practice squad don't mean what it used to. No, that don't mean what it used to. That's a roster mechanism. They got a lot of names that you know on practice squads around the league.
Oh, it's a great story.
It's a phenomenal story. But no, I mean,
I love it.
I came away, you know, feeling like Green Bay. You know, like I don't really see a glaring hole in this team at this point. I mean, I question the defense, but the defense, give them their due. They keep coming up with plays, and they still don't have the left tackle. Bakhtiari still ain't there. I mean, you hit it on the head, and we can go to break, Gary, or we can hit the music. You hit it on the head. It just feels like their best football is in front of them. And in past years, when they have faltered in the playoffs, the opposite has been the case. They looked really good early, and then when it came time at the end of the year, they didn't have their best football. But when you start winning games like this, you have the look of destiny about you. That's why I'm in love with this story. I'm in love with this love story because they just look like,
you know what?
It's just, oh man. They'll see each other.
You know what song you should have referenced?
Which one?
You should have referenced another Jeffrey Osborne song from the Smith wedding video. I'm back in love again.
Every time I get the
Oh, yeah.
That was what we came out to.